and girls, it's Know It Time! Know It Time!
Alright, so let's do part 2 to the factor theorem. And part 2 is basically how to apply your factor theorem. If I give you a question like this, I want you to, this time, graph. Your question is graph. Oh, now you're gonna graph, yeah. X cubed minus. Before, I taught you the general shape, but now I'm going to show you the proper method to graphing. X cubed plus 11x minus 6. Now, some of you say, Ms. Snow, can I just punch this in my calculator and get a rough sketch answers? Yeah, but you get no marks for that. Your marks comes from this. Number 1, when you graph, these are the steps I want to see in detail. Steps to success. Double C, double S, and you always succeed. 1. In every graphing question, what I'm looking for is, can you find the y-intercept? First thing. 2. I'm going to look for x-intercept. And you got to show work. Show work. Finally, once you have your x-intercept, you can go ahead and graph it. I will walk you through step by step, but for now, I want you to do 1 on your own first. 2, we're going to do it as a class. For 1, I want you to find the y-intercept on your own. If I look at the y-intercept, I plug in 0. So let's do number 1. So that's 0 minus 6. Sorry, that should be minus 0 also. Plus 0 minus 6. So that let x equal to 0. So my y-intercept equals to negative 6. Very, very simple. The tough stuff is really the x-intercept. How do you show the work? Well, here's how you show the work. Let's write down my equation. Let's start with this. If I give you a question, for example, we'll make it easy. On the side somewhere. Example. X squared minus 5x plus 4. What is your x-intercept gonna be? Equals to y. Okay, I always go back to an easy example, something I can do. So what's your x-intercept? 4 and 1? How do you get 4 and 1? Well, you factor this. See, notice the key word I use? I use the F word. Factor. X minus 1, x minus 4. The key step really is factoring. If you don't factor, you're not getting any marks. Once you factor, I said each bracket equal to 0. And x equals to 1, x equals to 4. That's correct. We're going to do the exact same thing. Except now, you have x cubed. So what I want to give me 1 second. So what I want you to do is factor. Completely. I'm going to pause it. So really, the game is finding one number that gives me 0. And I think most of you found one number that gives you 0 already. The 10 viewer, what's one number that gives me 0? 1. So again, I'm going to use synthetic division. 1, negative 6, 11, negative 6. 1, negative 6, 11, negative 6. 10 viewer, what's your number on the bottom going to be? 1. Keep going. Oh, you didn't do it yet? So there's 1, negative 5, I believe. Negative 5, and that's 6, and that's 6, that gives me 0. So if I factor this fully, again, I'm going to do a jump a few steps. My original one is going to be x minus 1, because 10 viewer says 1 works. I'm going to factor this part out right here. That gives me x squared minus 5x plus 6. So now I'm going to factor all the way. X minus 2. See, before, this is what we did before lunch. But after lunch, I'm actually going to solve it now because my whole point is find the x-intercept. Gary, what's my answer, Gary? So here are your 3 brackets. So one of them is 1, you know for sure. The other one is 2 and 3. So now that's step 2. So step 2 is what we did earlier. Step 3, we're going to graph. First of all, let's look at my original. We're going to imagine in my head. Who haven't I picked on today yet? Davia? Actually, no, Kristen. I haven't picked on you today. What shape is this going to be? And how do you know? Emmett, what shape is this going to be? Is it going to be an N shape? Because this is a cubic. And more importantly, it's going to be positive. Remember that no is a positive winner? This is where it comes in. So now we're going to plot in everything I have. I have my y-intercept. So let's plot this in. My y-intercept is -6. I'm going to play the guessing game. We'll call this -6. My x-intercept is 1, 2, and 3. Somehow it forms an N shape. And it has to hit all those 3 marks. Have fun. So if you did this correctly, you should go up, down, and up. Voila. That is called showing work. I'm going to get you to try this one. Good luck. Too easy, not yet. A bit after. Y equals to, I'm going to factor for you. I'm so nice, I'm going to do this for you guys. X minus 2. X minus 2. X plus 1. I'm going to be nice. I factored this for you already. You don't have to factor. I saved you the whole synthetic division stuff. I'm going to ask you to do 2 things. 1, y-intercept, exact same thing. 2, please do not multiply this out and then factor again. You'd be in it exactly where you start. Okay? Somehow I always have students thought it was a trick, so they FOIL this out and they factor. And they end up exactly the same thing. So I guarantee you one of you will do this on the test and then say, oh. Graph. Let's see if you can figure out what this is. I'm going to show you how to do this, starting with the y-intercept. If it's a y-intercept, I let x be 0. So that's -2 times -2 times 1. Okay, keep it simple. We know this is going to be 4. That's easy. I was nice to you, and I even factored this question for you because I'm a nice guy. But the problem is, so Patricia, what's your x-intercept? 2 and -1. You're missing one more number. 2. You have to write it out twice. Yep, I'm going to show you why. Now, here's the problem. When you guys try to graph, you know it looks like an N shape because it's a cubic function. But the problem lies, so I'm going to plot this in -1, 2, we'll call this 2 here, 2, 4. The problem is, it's an N shape. It goes here. It has to hit here, but then how does it finish? That's where the problem lies. I'm going to show you a term. This is called multiplicity. Give me 1 second. Multiplicity. Okay. The key term here will be multiplicity. And write this down, because this will define what it is. Multiplicity means the number of times a 0 occurs. Okay, it sounds really vague, but the multiplicity determines the shape. Now, I'm going to look at the -1 first. I'm going to highlight this -1. See, this -1 only occurs once. So I'm going to write this down. Multiplicity of 1. Multiplicity of 1. But look at the number 2. The number 2 occurs twice. So I'm going to write this down. Multiplicity of 2. Multiplicity of 2. Here's how the multiplicity changes the graph. If it's a multiplicity, I'm going to do a little chart. Okay. So we're going to have a little chart. Here, we're going to have multiplicity. Multiplicity. Here, I'm going to have graph. You're going to see the difference between multiplicity and the graph. If it's a multiplicity of 1, let's say I have 1 x-intercept. Your graph goes right through it. Okay? It has to go right through it. That's what a multiplicity of 1 represents. A multiplicity of 2, what your graph does is this. So here is a multiplicity of 2. Okay, which means it occurs twice. Which means here's what it is. You have a line that goes up, 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 up. It touches, but instead of going up and right through it, it just curves and drags along and goes back down. Okay. So it doesn't go through it. It touches and drags it along for a bit. Multiplicity of 3. So I'm going to show you what a multiplicity of 3 does. So the bigger the multiplicity, the more of a drag it occurs. Okay. So I'm going to show you what multiplicity of 3 looks like. I'm going to draw a big dot to represent multiplicity of 3, which means it occurs 3 times. So here's what happens. It goes up, it drags it along, and it goes right through. Okay? That's the power of multiplicity of 3. Using that information, I want you to figure out what happens here. I'm going to pause. So I have a multiplicity of 2, which means it has to drag it right here and goes back up. It doesn't go through. It drags it along and it goes back up. That's the only way you can have an n. And that's why we have multiplicity of 2. So this is why I asked you to write out twice. Try this question, Neon, please. Same concept. Y equals to negative x plus 2 cubed x minus 4. I'm going to pause. Starting with everything, y-intercept is the key. Y-intercept is going to be Danish. What's your y-intercept? 32? Y-intercept is 32. X-intercept is the next big thing. One of them will be 4. Jordan, what's the other one? X-intercept. Good. You have to say -2 3 times. This is called multiplicity of 3. The rest, I know my shape. Be careful about this one. I see negative. Now, so here we go. I have 4, -2, 32. Right off the bat, I know it has to look like an M shape somehow. But the key thing is this multiplicity of -2. And it doesn't look like an M, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to up, and it drags along just a tad bit. It drags. That's where it drags. Okay? And all the way right through.
What's the negative sign?
Well, what's going on? It's an M. Then down. Mount Fuji. Now, so the reason why it's negative, it still not look like W because there's negative sign right there. That is how you graph it. Question.
If it's like a clock, or should it be 3 turning points? Should it look like an M?
M. No, it looks like an M. But the reason why, see, that's the standard. That's the standard. The problem is when you have multiplicity, it changes the shape. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you to graph this on your TI-83 right now and see what it looks like. And see if my prediction matches exactly on the thing. So this is going to be negative. Make sure you use brackets for this one. X plus 2 cube open bracket. X minus 4 up, down. But this depends on window mode. That is the proper grid. Okay. So here, as you can see, is a multiplicity of 2. This is where the 4 is. Now, it's kind of bad. Maybe I can zoom stat better and get a better picture of this. And still goes down. But that is what it should look like. Okay. Because it could have easily go up here and down, but that's a rough sketch. Now, I think that's all there is to it. I know there's one more question I have to make sure you're fine with. You should be okay with that. You should be okay with that. Your work. Page. 148. Numero. 1. No, I'm not going to give you too much. Go maybe about 6 questions. Whoa, sorry, I made a mistake. 1 to 7. I made a mistake, guys, I made a mistake. That's